Hi, my name is Tom from Aspecto, and today I want to talk to you about Malabi, what it is, and how it can help you save time writing integration or end-to-end tests for Node.js microservices. Imagine the following use case. Your app is a to-do app with paying customers. Each user can see his tasks, but must never see any other user's tasks. Let's say your tasks are stored in a MongoDB database. You also have a to-do API microservice that is responsible for retrieving and creating to-do items. How do you verify that the to-do API fetches only the relevant username? How do you verify that MongoDB received the right user ID in the query? This is a bug that could easily happen, and traditional testing libraries of today do not make this assertion an easy task for the busy developer. That is exactly why we created Malabi. I'll now show you how it's done and then explain to you how it works behind the scenes. I have created a simple to-do app with a login screen and pre-populated a locally running MongoDB database with a couple of to-do items. So this is the to-do app UI I have created. As you can see, it's very simple and only for the demonstration purposes. So when I hit submit, I'm going to be taken to the app UI. I'm going to show it to you right now. I hit submit, and the app knows my email address. In this case, it's tom@a.com. I can submit a new to-do, and these are the two to-do items that I've previously generated. They're both the same text. It does not matter. Now let me show you the code for this app. It has been created by Express Generator, which lets you easily boilerplate an app template for your Express app. So what do we have here in the code? So first of all, in our routes, we have an index.js file, which contains login, which is the login screen that you've just seen, and also an auth/login, which is a post endpoint for me to just that accepts the data from the form and basically performs the login. How does it work? It's very simple. It takes the email from the request body, it signs the data, it puts it inside basically a JWT cookie, and then the client of this endpoint would know to send the data with the cookie so that the server basically identifies it this way. What do I mean by that? I mean that when I'm here already, so the request or who the user is being taken by the server from the cookie, which is sent with the request. So we have this. We don't need to focus too much on how exactly the authentication has been created, but it's good for you to know so that you understand our test better. So this is that endpoint. We also have to-dos endpoint, which is responsible for showing the to-dos. So this one is basic. This is the get, which shows you exactly all the to-dos. And this is, as you can see here, it knows who the user is. It takes it with JWT. Passport is helping us in decoding JWT and reading it. And here you're querying by the relevant email. So in my case, it would be querying by tom@a.com. And I want to make sure that whenever I, as a user, am logging in and performing a request, I want to know that only Mongo is only receiving my email as a parameter. So how do we do that? How do we make an integration test that basically does just that? That makes the assertion according to my email. So I wrote, I'm using Jest for the testing, and I wrote a simple test. But before we get there, I want to show you the part of the code that is using Malabi, which is the open source we're talking about right now. So we have the app.js, which is a standard app.js file, only a few JWT passport stuff for the account. By the way, you're going to receive a full repository on GitHub. You can see the whole code, so you don't really need to copy anything from here manually. So we basically have a view engine, all that normal Express stuff. We have some middleware of error handling. Cookie extractor is again to extract the user data from the cookie. The secret. What else do we have here? And that's basically it. This is all the login part. So the interesting part about this file is what's going up at the top of it. You have 3 lines right here, which are requiring Malabi, Malabi.instrument, and Malabi.serve Malabi from HTTP app. Let's talk about how does Malabi work. Basically, Malabi, when we say instrument, this is more part of an open telemetry word, which means collect data from our microservice. Under the hood, Malabi uses open telemetry to collect data, and then it lets us assert on that data. So if we go back to the to-dos endpoint, with the one that fetches to-dos, when we make a GET request, we are creating a span that contains information about the request. So it would say the route is /to-dos. And it also creates another span, which is when we fetch Mongo. So Malabi is instrumenting our app, meaning it is responsible of creating the spans that have and later on, it enables us to fetch this relevant data and make assertions. So you must understand that we want to create spans and then assert on them. And a span is, again, it's an action. Any action in the system, like get request, post request, MongoDB query is a span. And Malabi helps us both in creating and retrieving. So we are expecting a few spans here, but only one is relevant. So the one that fetches from Mongo, it would be a span that talks about performing a find operation with the relevant email. So how do we really do the assertion? So as you can see, we already are instrumenting our app here, and we're serving it from this port. Malabi allows us a few methods that let you fetch from this, basically fetch the spans from the Malabi endpoint, and then you can do assertions using jest. So here is the file I've created. It's very basic. You are requiring Axios. These are the two Malabi functions, fetch remote telemetry and clear remote telemetry. Clear telemetry means clear the memory cache from Malabi, because Malabi stores the spans in memory. So when you do clear between tests, you're clearing it. And you also have the code of the test itself here. So what happens? We are basically performing a login. We are storing the cookie, and we're sending it in the subsequent request. So the subsequent request is the one that fetches the to-dos. So we want to assert that the relevant email, meaning tom@a.com, is the one that Mongo has received as a parameter. Before I'm going to talk to you about the assertions I've made here, I want you to understand how I got to them. So first of all, I'm going to run our microservice. This is basically npm start. And this is the way I'm going to be running my test. So I'm going to comment this out for now. And I want you to see only the dbSpan.first. So what you need to see here is this tells Malabi, this gets all the spans. And this says, give me the spans that are only Mongo spans, meaning only spans that have been created by an operation on Mongo. In this case, we'll only have one, so you can just do dbSpan.first, because dbSpan is the Mongo span, and .first is the first one in the array. And you can see in the log what exactly it contains, so you can know what to assert on. So after I've run my service, I'm going to run my test now. Let's see what happens here. You see dbSpan.first, this is what I wrote here, and then you see the content. So it says mongoose.todo.find. I've been using mongoose to fetch Mongo. All sorts of information about the request to Mongo. You can see the IP TCP, the transport, operation is fine, system is MongoDB, the response from the database, as you can see. These are my two pre-populated to-dos. And this is the place I want to be asserting on. You see, DB statement, condition, email is tom@a.com. So I want to assert exactly on this one. So as you can see here, after seeing the log, you can see that email using Mongo query, after parsing this part, because you can see we're getting a JSON stringified, we are parsing it, and then we do .condition.email, which gives me exactly the email I wanted, meaning the email that MongoDB has received on the query. And here I'm doing a normal just expect, saying expect email using Mongo query equals tom@a.com. Fairly easy, as you can see. No need for anything special, no need mocking, no need nothing. Basically only a simple just assertion and simple code provided to us by Malabi. I hope this video has helped you quite a bit. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me at Magnificoder on Twitter. or open issues in the Malabi repository. If you find any issues, we're very happy to accept any ideas you have. And good luck with everything.